sick of seeing comments like this, and it wasn't just this particular comment that got me frustrated. It is the fact that I see comments like this all over YouTube on a regular basis. So I thought I'd put my opinion out there of what I think about the differences between the American version of colorism and other cultures in other parts of the world, and how they deal with their colorism issues. You know, I'm so sick of hearing these comments saying the Asians are just like us, they suffer under white supremacy too. Well, they don't, no, and they haven't. So you know, they don't want to be associated with the American version of colorism. They don't want all that victim stuff. They don't want to be seen in that light. So South Africa, we all know that the whole world at that time was racist, legally racist. You were allowed to be racist. So that's no secret, you know, we all know that. We know that bad things happened, and there were 4 categories: white, Indian, coloured and black. But the coloured section was quite complex because they had little subgroups, and in these subgroups you'd get ones that were lighter than others. So a person who looked quite European, it could have been a quadroon or even more diluted, they'd give them tests to see how European they were, and they'd give them the pencil test. That was one of them, where they put a pencil in their hair, and if it fell to the floor, then obviously the hair was silky enough, straight enough for them to be European. If it stayed in, then you know, you were a bit out of luck. So the difference here really is the one-drop rule, I think. In America, the same person that would pass into white society would be classed as black. In America, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes, European features, and they'd still be classed as black. Some have said that it's, you know, it was an excuse for sexual abuse, and alongside the legal, you know, the legal inheritance things as well. Australia, again, similar to South Africa in the way that they would take the more diluted people and, you know, put them into education and things like that, give them tests to see how European they are. The Australians are, to me, more racist than colourist, because even a white-skinned Asian person, a Chinese person, they weren't allowed to emigrate to Australia because they were still classed as non-white. They had to be white European, that type, in order to live there. And they did let the Chinese in, but only to work on the sugar plantations in Australia. So I think that's more down to racism. Colorism in Asia and the differences between the American version of colorism. Now, we all know the American version of colorism is based on featureism, hair texturism, dating, victimhood. You know, the list goes on. It should really be about white supremacy, I think, shouldn't it? And, you know, Asians are also victims of white supremacy. That's what you say. But they're not. The Asians don't actually want black people to associate or involve them with the American type of colorism, because their reasons for liking lighter skin are very much different to yours, and they don't want to be seen as being victims of white supremacy and slavery. Their reasons are mainly aesthetical, and it comes from their liking for light skin comes from traditions and customs that are thousands of years old. Yes, there are issues with colorism, especially in India, where they have a darker complexion to the, you know, the Asians in Korea and China, and but even the Indians who have darker skin, even they have traditions and customs that go back thousands of years. Why they like light skin too? Yes, they base it on, you know, you get a better marriage, a better job, and that's true over there. But it was never about trying to be white. It was never about looking up to white people. or adhering to be white, because these customs and traditions have been going on for thousands of years and long before they'd ever set eyes on a white person. These people were never trying to look white or to be white. They've never suffered from white supremacy in that way, and they don't want to be associated with it. I think they're a little bit embarrassed. And then the one drop rule, there's the absence of that. There's the absence of so much here. You'll see there women, they don't hate on each other because, some of them have got lighter skin than others. And these women, they don't argue with each other. They all have the same straight hair texture. They have roughly the same kind of phenotype. And they don't hate on their other peers, their other women, for having lighter skin than theirs. People will, I've seen comments where, the Asians, they're just like us. They've suffered under white supremacy. No, they haven't. And they don't want people to think that either. I sometimes think that they make these comments about Asians to feel better about their own race. Maybe if they can rope the Asians into this victim kind of thing, then they'll be less black, and maybe they may be partly Asian too. Run around, start saying that they're part Asian, because the Asians have been involved in white supremacy.
Today we're going to be diving into the obsession with white/pale skin. So what is the history? Why are Asians obsessed with white and pale skin? Is it racist? Why are we glorifying white pale skin? What's up with Asians? So let's just dive into the history first. Is it just Asians wanting white pale skin? Absolutely not. So desire for pale skin actually dates back all the way to the BC era in both Asian and Western countries. Having milky white skin was glorified because it was prized as a sign of wealth, status, and beauty. Go back to the times a lot of the queens or, even geishas in Japan back then had white face. So what is this white face? So these white paints were made out of lead and vinegar mixed together, and queens would apply it onto their skin to make themselves look very white, porcelain, like they didn't have any scars, acne, any imperfections were covered. Even in Japan, you guys know geishas are known to have white skin. So why did geishas have white paint skin? Of course, they didn't have light bulbs and we only had candles. So apparently they say having white clear skin looked very nice under the candlelight, and geishas were actually entertainers. So there's one misconception that a lot of people think, that Asians want whiter skin in order to copy the Western style, which today is known to be baloney. But in today's era, to be honest, in Asia, having white skin is a sign of pure, innocent, more girly, and it's a sign of healthy youthfulness instead of racism or social status.
Light skin being seen as more desirable is absolutely a thing in Asian countries. In Asia, to make their skin look lighter, people use things like sunscreen to avoid getting any semblance of a tan, makeup, and there are even skin lightening products. Living in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Shanghai, I saw that type of thing all the time. And while some people in response to that might say, well, yeah, the Asians have also been affected by concepts of white supremacy and white colonialism, no. The quest for light skin in Asia dates back to way before white people ever set foot on the continent. You see, by and large, Asian societies are notoriously obsessed with social and economic class. They are classist. And dating back to antiquity, it was assumed that if you had darker skin, it was because you were a laborer and you were toiling away under the sun all day. The white face powder and paint that Asian cultures like the Japanese and the Chinese are known for using, yeah, they're not trying to look like white people, they're trying to look like rich, pasty people who have no reason to be out in the sun. And to this day, a lot of Asian cultures still believe that lighter skin is more beautiful than deeper skin. This is why I'm not against having a conversation about colorism, but I just think that if we do, we probably shouldn't be demonizing or otherizing non-white minorities who do happen to have light skin.